Bienvenido, Señora Gutierrez.
Welcome, Jennifer. Okay, are we okay? Kind of getting a sense, and I'm sure you can still review and discuss a little bit more, but just have I want to give you just an opportunity to review that page 20 and just think of those talking points. So we're going to put you in breakouts. Isela, how much time will they have here? Were we thinking 12 minutes?
So we have about 12 minutes and I'm counting, let's see. So I'll be opening up 6 breakout rooms and we'll have about 3 participants per group.
Okay, so let's make sure everybody has an opportunity and build and help each other out and give each other feedback and just think about that leadership voice and that why and regarding those talking points too. Okay.
Okay, so I'm opening up the rooms now.
Thank you, Isela. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. And I hope that was an opportunity for each of you to share your why. And I mean, there was really various reasons why we wanted you to engage in this. Number one, start developing that why, understand the resources, look at those talking points. And as it states on the slide, really it's about building a community with a common language, with a common understanding of what this work's about, so that we have a San Marcos cohort here, a group of leaders that are moving forward with the English Learner Roadmap and around a clear and very focused why, a very clear North Star. So hope everybody had that opportunity to share and to really start building that understanding as a team. And so with that, we're going to now move into what our focus is going to be. And as you look on the screen, we're really going to focus on the leadership task and think about considerations that we need to have for this task as leaders, so that it's going to be conducive to really our forward movement. And we're going to look at addressing change. We're going to look at how do we learn from past change efforts? And how do we plan for EL roadmap, this implementation? And we're going to continue to provide you some resources that you can access to really engage in this learning process, and that you can access and provide for other leadership opportunities for yourself that you will be leading. And again, here are the outcomes briefly that we're going to be addressing from building on our first session. Again, this is just a continuation. We're going to continue to build a community. We really want to provide this opportunity for us to learn and share and grow together with various opportunities in the breakouts. We're going to continue to really understand the 5-module journey, build on that learning from module 2, and this now being module 2 for being session 2, I'm sorry, for module 1. And we're going to continue to set a foundational understanding of the EL roadmap, its implication as we move forward, begin to start thinking through and develop a plan for your leadership, learning and bringing the roadmap to your school. So it's not about let's just do this, but it's really about a lot of processing and thinking through and understanding the why and learning about it and developing that plan. And we're just going to continue to acquaint ourselves with the tools and resources to support the leading and implementation of this work. So let's talk about change. And as we continue for today and think about what change has happened, I am sure all of us here have experienced some kind of change. And it could be a reform movement that's happened in your district. It could be an initiative at your school, in your county office. But really, I can pretty surely say that all of us have experienced some kind of change process. I think in my own experience, I think back as a teacher, I think of as an administrator when I was given new curriculum or a program, a new initiative, and I was told this is what you need to implement. And, that was an experience of change. And so it's perhaps something you've also all experienced. And so many of you as administrators have gone to district meetings and asked to move forward with your work and move this work at your schools with some new policy. And also as county office leaders that we are here that are represented, we've also had initiatives that we have had to enact. And so we've learned, and I'm hoping that we've gained a lot of wisdom from all of those experiences. And we've seen change that has taken hold and that has had meaning for our kids, for our students. But we're also, unfortunately, probably been part of change that has been not as successful, that has ended, or never really meaningfully took any hold. So we're going to take some time this afternoon already, for you and your colleagues to really think back. And I want you to think back as a teacher, as an assistant principal, or in your leadership role. When you think about successful change, what was the leader, administrators doing and saying that facilitated, that supported that successful, meaningful change? On the other side of the coin, I want you to think about if you were part of a reform movement or change that they didn't work out, what were the leaders or administrators maybe not doing or not saying that interfered with that meaningful change? So we're going to get you into some breakout rooms again. And as you see in the instructions on this slide, you're going to navigate to this Google slide document that is going to match your breakout room. And we're going to ask that you select a recorder, somebody to type in, who's going to share their screen. And I believe you have the capacity to do that with your Zoom, with the Zoom format that you have right now. But you're going to share your screen and someone's going to facilitate the conversation. And we're going to ask you to conjure up those big ideas. Why did this change happen? So this is an opportunity to connect to your journey map that you had worked on and refer to those actions and changes that might have occurred during those times. So there's this journey map. I wonder why those changes, now I have a better understanding about why those changes occurred. It's an opportunity just to make those connections and build an understanding of why those changes happen. And so we try to jot down 2 or 3 big ideas. What were those big changes on the T-chart that we're going to provide? And start thinking about what happened and document about what occurred, what went well, what did they say that made that process positive, and also at the same time, what other changes occurred and why wasn't it successful? So it's just an opportunity to conjure up, reflect, and bring up that wisdom and insight around what worked and what didn't work in moving this work forward. So any questions? I believe Isela is gonna have you in the same breakout groups that you had before. We're gonna give you about 10 minutes, is that right? Looking at the times here.
Yes, and we will reconfigure the groups a little so then everyone has at least 3 other people in their room because some of the groups were too small. So
perfect.
And the link to the document is in the chat box, and I will be opening rooms now.
All right, so welcome back everyone, and hope you all had a rich conversation around this whole idea of what makes change, or what's the messaging that makes it successful, and what maybe interferes or ruins that change. So we're gonna hold on to those thoughts. We're gonna review what was shared in your documents, and then we're gonna, again, we'll refer to those at our next sessions and just use that as an anchor to really kind of think about what worked and what didn't. So we're gonna now go to page 26 in your administrator's toolkit. And what I'm gonna ask is, thinking about on our EL roadmap is really thinking about it being an aspirational policy. And what makes this is that it's very unique and it's different from various previous policies that we are used to. And we think about it as it could be a wonder and also a curse. And we say this just because the roadmap, it describes a visionary aspirational schooling system for our English learners. And having that vision and knowing where we're headed and what we needed to do to accomplish it is really essential. But again, there's also the other side of the coin, the downside, because when we're pursuing a vision, it really shows that we're not exactly there. We have a long way to go. And so where it doesn't really tell us where we want to be at this time. And so we're going to spend a couple of minutes again here on page 26 of your toolkit. And it gives us a vision, a lens of that delicate balance between the wonder and the curse, if you want to call it that, of this policy. And so as you read through it, I want you to be creative and think of a tweet that's going to remind you and others of the nature of this journey. And as you can see, there's an example there around hashtag pursue the vision ELR. But think of something that's going to be that mantra, that language, that's something that resonates around around the EL roadmap. So give you a minute or two to think that through and just put those in the chat, demonstrate your creativity, and you can just post that there so we can all take those and learn from those. Thank you, Patricia. The EL roadmap creates a pathway to the destination, hashtag ELR. Nice. Pursuing the powerful schooling we want and our students deserve. Hashtag ELR. Thank you. Inspired by a sense of urgency. A failure to plan is a plan to fail. Continuous pursuit of the path that reflects your vision, culture, and principles. Keeping the momentum of what's best for all students in all schools. So thank you, everyone. And for the sake of time, and I apologize, please have them coming, and now they're coming now here, the hashtags, clarity and shared commitment, and embark on the journey. And so really, this is the power of words, the power of what's going to remind us and of the nature of this journey that tells us of why we're doing this and what's the purpose of it. So keep those coming as we're going through today. And here, just again, the power of words around, and these are just examples around setting that purpose, really empowering others, talking about enthusiasm, building that moral imperative, and also that the quotes around what's that sense of urgency and what is our moral imperative? So the power of words in setting a purpose, in setting clarity is really, really critical. And as you move forward with this work, it's going to be very influential and critical as we move forward in this change process. So with that, I'm going to now hand it over to my colleague, Christian. Thank you, Mara and Amy. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Okay, so this is called leading people and the nature of change. Anytime that we think about leading change, we need to consider how many people are going to react, how people are going to react emotionally. In every school, in every district, there will be a variety of emotional responses, right? And those emotional responses also have some story to them. Some schools, some districts, no matter what the change is, you have the same emotional response, because that's how this history of change is gone on that school. We also see in some schools that every time there is a change, people are advocating for more changes. And they are speaking with urgency. They are speaking about their kids. And then we have others that there's a lot of resistance. There are kind of despair. There is an unwillingness. And kind of like, we don't need change. They don't want changes. So right now we're going to switch the mode of our presentation. We're going to look some pictures. So let's go to the next slide. Thank you, Isela. Look at these three pictures. They represent human emotions. Do any of them look familiar to you? Any one of your side have some sort of fear, right? Maybe there is a despair, turmoil, some denial. Do they just have their heads in the sand? Is there resistance? And when we think about resistance, we have to think about all the different places resistance come from. Sometimes resistance comes from being exhausted, being overwhelmed. Sometimes it comes from the fact that I don't understand what's been asking from me. So I want to resist because I don't know. I don't get it. Sometimes it comes from a fears of taking risk. I have done the same thing for the last 20 years of my career. I'm afraid to try anything different. So I want to resist this change. Sometimes it comes from the lack of confidence. I don't feel that I have enough tools in my toolkits. I don't have enough knowledge to do these changes. And sometimes the resistance comes from bias or unwillingness to make changes for our kids. So now look at these pictures. The first picture, I look at it and I think, is that a staff member that no matter what are going to tell them, they're ready to fight me? Or is that a staff member that no matter what you say, they are ready to fight for you? And so it's kind of a good mind shift, or where the picture takes you. The middle one, are those educators that are just holding on? But the key here is they are still holding on. They are still with you. But we know that there's a lot of that is learning, a lot of that is leading on them, right? So they're just barely there. And the third picture, do you have that group of educators that no matter what, they're going to just roll up their sleeve and get to work? And what I like better about this picture is that there's a team doing it. Think about that. So I wanted to take a moment and I want you to reflect on the emotional content of what you see and hear in your school, in your districts, wherever it comes to make any sort of change, but especially when it's come to make a change for our English learners. Consider what kind of responses might make a difference or might move that change. Michael Follen, who is really a respected leader, is someone who analyzes administrators, write countless books on administrators. He said that our new leaders can change emotions, not just minds. I want you to think for a moment. I want you to select the word that best describes the current emotional states of your staff and write it in the chat box. I will be quiet now, and I'm just going to let you put in the chat box the word that you select. Inconvenience. Overwhelm. Exhaustion. Overwhelmed. Tired. Overwhelmed, inconvenience, overwhelming, tired. Overwhelmed. So the number one answer that we have right now is overwhelmed. So overwhelmed is the number one emotion that's happening. And I don't think it's coincidence. I think we're overwhelmed right now because we're in the middle of a pandemic. We have been in distant learning for more than a year. Some of our schools are transitioning out to distant distant learning, and we're overwhelmed about what that's going to look like and what kind of changes are going to be there, right? So this is a great task, a great activity to do with your staff. It's so important that we reflect on the emotions, that we confront the emotions of our staff. If we don't surface the emotions while we are all in the room together, the emotions in the conversation will get surfaced in the parking lot. And we really don't want that. The next set of tools that we're going to go over, they're really going to help you combat some of those emotions wherever you are thinking about dialogue around English learner. It is important to think about the emotional context of dialogue around English learner because of the history of English learner education. That story, as we saw in the last training, as we learn, is often been heated, and there's a lot of firmly held beliefs, assumptions, and biases that can be triggered anytime that we have discussions about English learners, student needs, and experience. We want to make sure that we are equipping you to lead the changes. Sorry, okay. So the first tool that we're going to, that we have is on page 34. So please go to page 34 of your toolkit. On this particular tool, you're going to see a lot of emotions. And then you're going to see potential things that you could consider doing to help move those emotions or calm those emotions and respond to them. Right now on the screen, you see denial. And the potential response is to keep the message clear. If people are in denial, you need to be more clear than ever. And the clear message is English learners are priority. They are really needs, and we have to plan to respond to them. Sometimes when people are in denial, the best thing to do is to provide data. Provide more statistics and data, grounded. How many English learners do you have? Where are your English learners right now? The other thing that you can do is to use student voices. Interview some of those students and put those quotes up. See where they are. See that urgency. The important thing is that wherever people are in denial, you need to make sure that you are always keeping the train going, because the denial wants you to stop the train, and you just need to keep going. So I'm going to stop talking and let you look at this tool on page 34. I'm going to give you like a minute just to go through the page 34. Okay. When you are done, I'm going to ask you to share in the chat box what resonated with you. Julie said, empathize feelings, chunk action, and keep the message clear. Provide support. Christine and Mara says, provide support. Patricia says, with feeling of exhaustion, acknowledge the feelings, bring things down, allow for pauses, provide support, coaching. Perfect, perfect. Todd said the same, break things into smaller chunks for action. Recognize and affirm. Provide support, coaching, collaboration, planning time. That's so important, planning time. Find out, this is a good one, Fernando. Find out what is causing the exhaustion. Keep moving forward, says Cheryl. Perfect. Thank you for sharing your point of view. So now, Alex.
All right. Thank you, Christian. And I just want to thank all of you for, the engagement, the participation in this afternoon with our learning. We have planned, and I'll be very transparent, we had planned a lot more, but we're also very aware, keenly aware of the day that's been, and also looking at the clock, and just that this is, I think, the best time, and very intentionally pausing at this time, just so that everybody can leave, get some time to rest, and really take time for yourself, because I think that's really important. So, but I want to thank you, and I on behalf of Isela and Christian, that we really appreciate you being here, being engaged, participating, and just being part of this learning for all of us. This is really about the work that we need to do for our students. And I just want to leave you with this one. Never underestimate the power of what you do, because I know within everything that goes on, we have a lot taken, but you have the power to make an impact. And we hope that with this work that we're taking on right now, it's just going to give you even more of the tools and the supports and the guidance to continue to make the change that is necessary, and specifically for our EL students. So I will be sending Patricia our next date so she can share that with you for our next community of practice, which will be, I believe, we'll go over some of the content from today that we didn't get to, but it will segue very nicely, and then provide an opportunity for you to engage in some planning and next steps in really moving this work forward. So really, it's about really a strong foundation, and then planning, and really start moving this forward. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much. Christian, Isela, anything you would like to say, goodbye, or anything before we sign off?
I just want to say thank you so much. I know you guys are tired after a long day. I really appreciate your energy during this training. Thank you.
Christian, we're exhausted and overwhelmed, but we're not in denial.
Good. That's a good way to put it.
Thank you,
Isela?
everyone. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Hopefully you'll have some time for self and family. Take care. Bye-bye.
Some time for St. Patrick's Day. It's still early. Enjoy.